New generations in the dark 25 years after 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the June 4th protests in China, where an unknown number of student protesters were killed in a government-ordered crackdown in and around Tiananmen Square. To this day, the Chinese government has blacked out all record of the incident. Online searches for the event in China reveal no mention of what happened that day. The protest began on April the 15th, when the death of reformist politician Hu Yaobang prompted students to commemorate him at Tiananmen Square, while calling on the government to reassess his legacy. Within days, more protesters had gathered, and they began writing about broader political issues, such as freedom of the press, democracy and corruption. On April 27th, some 50,000 to 100,000 students from all Beijing universities marched through the streets of the capital to Tiananmen Square to join the protest. 2 days ahead of a visit by the then Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev on May the 15th, students began a hunger strike and sit-in inside the square to place additional pressure on the government. Martial law was declared on May 20th, with the army attempting to enter the city, only to be blocked by protesters retreating days later. At some point, a 10-meter-tall statue, known as the Goddess of Democracy, was erected in the square, facing a portrait of Mao Zedong. Soldiers were ordered to go ahead with the crackdown on June the 3rd and began the process of removing protesters from the square, resorting to violence and firing their rifles. This continued into the morning of June the 4th. During this time, the Goddess of Democracy was toppled by a tank. By the morning, the students had begun to retreat. Anyone who tried to re-enter the square was fired upon by soldiers. In what became an iconic moment of the crackdown, a lone man was filmed on June the 5th, standing in the middle of Chang'an Avenue, blocking a procession of tanks. Subsequent footage and images show the man climbed onto the first tank, seeming to speak to a crew member inside, after climbing down from the vehicle to once again block the procession. He was reportedly pulled away by two figures in blue clothing, disappearing into the crowd. It is unknown what happened to him.